Well, tonight we just want to reiterate that there are no cases of coronavirus yet in Louisiana. Yet is the word health leaders are using as they get ready for a possible case. The testing would happen right here in Baton Rouge, and we're giving you a first-hand look at that process. Doctors say either way, don't panic, just prepare.
We do have a plan. That plan fits for COVID-19.
Dr. Frank Welch, the medical director for Community Preparedness for Louisiana, says the state is ready for the coronavirus. He says they have been planning for something like the virus called COVID-19 for 20 years.
What we've been told to prepare for is it's probably going to spread in the United States just as it's spreading in many other places.
Governor Edwards' stay-at-home order goes into effect later today. NBC Local 33's Courtney Williams is live for us this morning with more on what that stay-at-home order means, what businesses will be open and closed. And Courtney, we also know the governor is hosting a town hall later tonight. Good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Jan. Well, it's a lot happening today, and that's first is that stay-at-home order that Governor Edwards announced on yesterday, and this is all due to that fast-growing rate of positive cases here in the state. Now, with the past 2 weeks, there have been more than 800 cases, and Governor Edwards is just trying to get a hold on those numbers and try to reduce that by putting the stay-at-home order in place. Now, that actually goes into effect today at 5 o'clock and is expected to expire April 13th, but could go longer. He says within those last 2 weeks, those number of cases here in the state have been more than any other state or country in the world, and he wants to flatten that curve by putting that order in place. Now, this does not mean you can't leave your home, but the time you should only go out is to go to essential places like the grocery store, a pharmacy to pick up any medication, and any other health care necessities like going to any doctor's appointments. You can order takeout orders for any restaurants or go through a drive-through. You can also take a walk or ride a bike as long as you are 6 feet away from others. As for what you cannot do under the governor's order is go to work unless you are providing an essential service, visit friends and family if there is no urgent need, or visit loved ones in a hospital or any other care facilities. And Edwards says these steps have to be taken now before it gets any worse.
I don't think fear and panic are helpful, but being serious and understanding that we need to have a sense of urgency, you know, those things are helpful. We want people to take this seriously. We want people to comply.
Now, happening tonight, Edwards will be joined by health experts and members of his administration to just talk about those latest developments on those cases here in the state, testing for the virus, as well as any resources that are available for any business that have been impacted. Now, this will air on our CW station, that is WVRL, or you can also go to our website at brproud.com where that will be live streamed, and that will be from 7 to 8 tonight. So you can definitely find more information on our website at brproud.com, or you can download our free BR Proud app. Reporting live at GOSEP, Courtney Williams, NBC Local 33 News.
Louisiana's COVID-19 virtual town hall. Insight and answers regarding the opening of Louisiana's economy and your health concerns. Now, here are your hosts, Fred Childers and Harrison Golden.
And good evening, I'm Fred Childers.
And I'm Harrison Golden. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight for our Louisiana COVID-19 virtual town hall. Well, here are just a few of the guests we'll be seeing tonight over the next hour. Coming up, Governor John Bel Edwards will join us. Then we will check in from Senator Bill Cassidy over on Capitol Hill.
Also, we'll have former Louisiana Secretary of Health, Dr. Rebecca Gee, in the second half of this evening's town hall. We'll also be joined by several other Louisiana lawmakers representing every part of our state. We have the whole state covered, Harrison.
And a lot of messages to tell with that. Now, let's first go, though, to the latest COVID-19 numbers for the entire state. Tonight, the Louisiana Department of Health is reporting close to 3,100 confirmed cases and more than 2,000 deaths since the pandemic took hold here in Louisiana.
That's right, and the LDH is also reporting more than 1,400 people are hospitalized with COVID-19 complications, and close to 200 of those are on ventilators. And the first guest for our virtual town hall for COVID-19 is Governor John Bel Edwards. He joins us now from the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness remotely. Governor, thank you so much for taking part in our town hall.
Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to be with you and all your viewers.
Yeah, so Governor, it's been almost 2 months to the date since you announced the first, as we called it then, presumptive positive COVID-19 case in Louisiana. That was memorably during your State of the State address at that time. So, I mean, it feels like the world has changed so much since then, but right now, tonight, what is the state of our state?
Well, obviously, like all the 50 states, but to a greater degree than many of them, we're in the midst of a public health emergency that our country hasn't experienced in over 100 years. Just over a week ago, I spent about 90 minutes with the president in the Oval Office, and he and the vice president, his team, Dr. Birx, Dr. Fauci, and others, well aware of what the situation is in Louisiana, and the basis upon my decision to extend the stay-at-home order, and supportive of that, based on the fact that we did not meet the criteria set out by the White House for that phased reopening of our economy.
Joining us now is U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy via Zoom from Washington, D.C. Senator Cassidy, I want to thank you for coming on and taking part in our town hall, our virtual town hall.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be virtual.
And with that, we go to our station, WGMB over in New Orleans, and LeBron Joseph standing by with Representative Cedric Richmond.
Congressman Richmond, welcome to our statewide town hall. I want to ask you, what does restarting the economy look like for you?
Well, first of all, it has to be done safe.
Our next guest tonight spent 4 years leading Louisiana's Department of Health, and she's now in charge of LSU Healthcare Services, which runs medical schools and medical centers across our state. Dr. Rebecca Gee joining us tonight. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Gee.
Thanks for having me.
Let's go over to Shreveport, our Shreveport affiliate, KTAL, where our friends Dan and Jackie Jovic are standing by with Representative Mike Johnson.
Thanks, Fred. Here in Northwest Louisiana, as in the rest of the state and the country, we're wondering when we can all get back to work safely and begin enjoying some of the activities we enjoyed before the pandemic hit.
Congressman Mike Johnson on President Trump's task force on reopening the economy. He joins us kindly now from his home in Benton. Congressman, thanks for being with us here today.
Thanks so much for having me.
With that, we're going to take you to our Murrow affiliate, KTVE, where Michelle E. Morton and Bodie Brooks are with U.S. Representative Ralph Abraham.
Dr. Abraham, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you very much.
All right, there you have it. You've heard from our governor, you've heard from state health leaders, you've also heard from congressmen from all over our state, and they've had some really great information to share. They talked about not only the danger of COVID-19, but the danger of having a damaged economy. Their overall message, Harrison, we have a challenge ahead of us, but if we stick together, we can pull it off.
That's it. And again, this is a state that has seen its share of troubling times. But again, we're going to get through this all. And we'd like to thank our next door stations across Louisiana for coordinating all of this and speaking to some of the leaders who know this best.
All right. Thank you for joining us for our Louisiana COVID-19 virtual town hall special.
Have a good night.
Well, Governor John Bel Edwards taking additional measures tonight to reduce the spread of the coronavirus right here in Louisiana. He's made changes to casinos, bars, movie theaters, and restaurants, giving us all a new temporary normal. Okay, so I am going to wear the gear that the EMS operators are going to wear if they are going out to an emergency call. Okay.
Oh, this way.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It goes back.
See? This is how we're learning together. The gown is tied in the back, then there's a mask. And so this protects the eyes as well.
Correct. It's a face shield as well as a mask, a face mask.
They then tie the gown in the front, put on the gloves and booties for my shoes, protecting all exposed skin. If someone comes to your door and they have an ambulance, they're the real deal.
BR Proud presents the Back to School Virtual Town Hall.
Welcome back, everyone, to our Back to School special here in 2020. Joined now by a very special guest, Mr. Larry Carter, the president of the Louisiana Federation of Teachers. Mr. Carter, thank you so much for your time. How are you these days?
Thank you, Chad, for having me on your show. I'm doing fine, and I'm just happy to be able to share our concerns with reopening schools.
So many concerns, so many questions, not enough answers, unfortunately, at this point as the new school year looms. What is the Federation's perspective, though, on the return to school, trying to do it safely, remotely, virtually, in different ways, but from the organization's standpoint, what's your biggest message today?
Our biggest message today is that when we reopen schools safely, and that's making sure that we look at the science behind reopening, and we talk about those things like social distancing, mandatory face masks, making sure that we have the necessary materials and resources to safely reopen schools. Sanitation will be key and important. And also, how do we look at those school districts that don't have the connectivity for their students and or in some cases their teachers to do distance learning when we go to distance learning in an effective way. So we're certainly concerned about whether or not we have the actual resources to open schools safely and efficiently.
Wearing masks in public, that will no longer be a choice in Louisiana. That was the message from our governor today as Louisiana becomes now the latest state to mandate them.
And that mandate takes effect Monday, and it comes after 2 straight days of more than 2,000 known coronavirus cases. Governor John Bel Edwards announcing that move at a rare Saturday afternoon news conference, and it marks a shift from earlier this week, back when he said he wasn't considering a mandate. Now today, he says the widespread failure to wear masks here in Louisiana leaves him with no other choice.
The appeal that we've been making to the people of Louisiana to do better abiding by those restrictions and doing better by complying with our mitigation measures just have not produced the results that we had hoped for and the results that we need.
Pastor Tony Spell says the Life Tabernacle Church in Central believes in the healing hand of Jesus, even through an aggressive global pandemic.
That is our command. They shall lay hands on the sick and they shall recover.
Spell's Sunday morning service brought more than 1,000 people from the Baton Rouge area to his church property. Social distancing was not happening. Throughout the service, parishioners can be seen touching each other and closely gathering, very few wearing masks or gloves. Spell says if anyone in his congregation is infected with COVID-19, he will heal them through God.
I want to address that by laying hands on them and praying for them and believing God to heal their body.
Governor Edwards, when asked, once again addressed the controversial service with his same message from the beginning.
I would urge that faith leader and all others to heed this directive and not unnecessarily engage in mass gatherings where this coronavirus can spread.
Spell identifies himself as a first responder, saying his services will not be stopped even through the governor's order to shelter in place.
When the paramedics can't get there, when the law enforcement can't get there, the Holy Ghost can get there, and it'll make a difference in somebody's life.
Mr. Spell made his intentions to continue to violate the governor's order clear. Instead of showing the strength and resilience of our community during this difficult time, Mr. Spell has chosen to embarrass us for his own self-promotion.
Life Tabernacle Pastor Tony Spell is charged with 6 counts of disobeying government power.
Parishioners are going to his services. They're not practicing the 6-foot rule. They're not going by what the governor said or our President of the United States.
Central Police Chief Roger Corcoran is accusing Spell of making a spectacle out of his services.
He's doing this for publicity.
Corcoran unclear about whether or not Spell would be booked in jail.
I can't say that he's going to be booked in jail. It's not about booking him in jail. It's about the safety of our parish and our community.
We've reported on Pastor Spell's services a number of times. We even allowed him to tell our viewers why he did it. Since that time, local officials have been working with Spell, but the pastor reportedly wouldn't compromise.
It was time that it needed to be addressed, and it has been. So we're very grateful for that.
Despite the arrest, Spell services will continue.
I've talked to our district attorney, and I've advised him of the arrest, and it'll go far from there.
Owning a small business in a pandemic has been a whirlwind of ups and downs. But if you own a bar like Mike O'Neill, it seems like you hear more bad news than good.
It's been very hard. We've lost some employees that didn't come back.
O'Neill owns Big Mike's, which is a restaurant with 2 bars attached to either side. With new information coming out of each phase, O'Neill has had to adjust. He closed his bars altogether, then he limited the amount of time and people allowed inside.
Every little restriction that comes on, if we can't have the bar area open, if we have to close at 11, we have to close at 11 o'clock, we can't have big gatherings. Well, of course, our numbers go down.
After Phase 3 allowed his bars to reopen in some capacity, O'Neill felt like he might be able to catch his breath again. But now it seems his relief may be short-lived. The Louisiana Department of Health reported that Livingston Parish has a positivity rate of over 10%, which was the max number for bars to operate. That rate now sits at 14.60%, which means bars that allow in-person consumption have to close. O'Neill says the news is like a knife to the heart.
You get a little freedoms and you get to open up a little bit, and then all of a sudden you can't do this and you can't do that. And so every time it happens, I mean, it really is heartbreaking.
His restaurant has been keeping him afloat during the hard times, but it's still nothing compared to the money he used to make, especially around this time of year. During this entire pandemic, he estimates that he's lost somewhere in the hundred thousands.
I know of a couple businesses that have closed for good, and it wouldn't surprise me if a lot more do that.